A family mourning the loss of their mother is turning their heartbreak into healing for others. Tina McCombs was stabbed to death about 3 weeks ago, and she is actually one of 3 women killed in St. Paul just in the month of January.
What do you think those 3 women who were stabbed, who were killed in St. Paul, very liberal neighboring city to Minneapolis, stone's throw? In fact, they're called the Twin Cities, which their baseball team, the Minnesota Twins, are named after the Twin Cities. Give me a description on those women who were killed. Those 3 women have been killed this month in Minneapolis. In every city we go to, it's like this, but.
And she is actually one of 3 women killed in St. Paul just in the month of January. Fox 9's Babs Santos spoke to her family, who is in mourning, but also making plans to create a shelter where Black women can find the help they need.
Just 9 days into the new year, the McCombs family lost their matriarch, the victim of the first homicide of the year in St. Paul. Today, on Saturday, inside, they are mourning.
It didn't really sit on me till like 2 weeks later. This is reality.
It's been 3 weeks since Tina McCombs was stabbed to death. But the pain is still as raw as the day it happened. Family and friends mourning the loss today at a Minneapolis church.
We angry, confused. You know, our queen was just taken away from us.
St. Paul police say McCombs was killed at this Larpenteur Avenue apartment building on January 9th.
I had to go see if it was true, man. I just really wish that it wasn't real.
Witnesses told police a man, later identified as Maurice Smith, kicked in several doors before finding and stabbing the 47-year-old.
So old Mo Smith kicked in several doors. And then her door was the one that came off the hinges. And then he ran in there and stabbed her. Didn't know her from a can of paint. Okay? Didn't know her from a can of paint. Okay? A can of paint. Just think about that. The other doors he kicked, those people are lucky. Because he was going after whoever's door would have popped. Old Mo Smith.
Witnesses told police a man, later identified as Maurice Smith, kicked in several doors before finding and stabbing the 47-year-old.
Nobody saw this coming. We still don't know why. So we just left with questions that are unanswered.
Tina McCombs leaves behind 6 sons and a lasting impact on her community.
She was just a very community-driven woman. Always was quick to take care of somebody if they needed help, if they needed shelter. My mom would always have her door open.
That almost seems tragically ironic that a woman who always had her door open had her door kicked down by a stranger. A woman who had 6 sons was killed by some dude, and none of her sons just happened to be there.
And the family doesn't want that spirit of giving to leave with her, so they've launched a fundraiser, first to bring security and stability for their home, but also to create Tina's healing home.
Because that is the bigger vision of this.
They envision a shelter for Black women experiencing domestic abuse, substance abuse, or housing instability.
A facility that will provide that stability and provide those resources and provide the guidance and the healing that is needed.
While the loss has left a hole in the hearts of so many, a place like Tina's Healing Home is a first step in the process to heal and rebuild, not just for her family, but hopefully for generations of families to come.
If we're able to raise that money, it'll most definitely help her rest in peace and know that we're fulfilling her legacy. If you'd like to contribute to this memorial fund, we have all the information in this story at fox9.com. In Minneapolis, Babs Santos, Fox 9.
Only 18 days after Tina Marie McCombs was stabbed to death in her own home in St. Paul by a stranger. Her son, Louis Blaze, says he felt he was ready to say something. Why did you decide to talk to the media?
I would say it's what my mom would want. My mother always lived in her truth. She always walked her truth. And she raised very courageous individuals, right? We've never shied away from being vulnerable.
Salute to this woman. Just seeing her two sons, this one and the one from the previous story, they seem like dynamite guys, man. Very thoughtful, very reflective, very self-aware. Very charismatic, very articulate. So, I think she did a great job, man. She did a great job. Miss Tina did a great job raising these boys. I'm sure she did it by herself. And that happens a lot, you know. Everybody, there's a notion now that every single mother raises their children to be thugs and whatnot. That's not the truth. Yes, more often than not, though. But a lot of these women do a good job. And I know plenty of examples of that. You know? Guys grow up in single-parent homes and they turn out either all right or great. Well, good, great. So, it's not a guarantee that the child's going to turn out to be, you know, antisocial, a pariah, you know, someone that, you know, a menace to society. I would say it's about the same as the rate. It's about 75 to 25. It's like a 25% chance that the kid can turn out and make a good, you know, become a productive citizen.
And she raised very courageous individuals, right? We've never shied away from being vulnerable.
Tell me what happened, in your words, on January 9th, because what we know is from the police, and that was basically the only storyline that we have, and I want to hear from you what exactly happened.
I was actually driving on my way to go see my mom, and I had a call from the guy that she was dealing with, and called me and told me somebody just came in here and stabbed your mom. I damn near crashed my car. Literally, I had to stop, get out, shout, cry, break down. I drove to my grandmother's house, just breaking down. That's the first person I ran to. Then I went right over to the apartment, you know, just to see if it was real, you know, see from my own perspective. And, you know, just the entire situation, it still has a lot of question marks and a lot of confusion around it.
And is the biggest question right now, why?
Absolutely. Why? We don't know why. Just completely random, you know, and she was just like, I'm so proud of her because she was really making a transition in her life. I've seen her overcome so many life obstacles, and she was in a very peaceful place.
So,
you know, one thing he's not doing, he's not insinuating that the boyfriend or the guy she was dealing with at the time had anything to do with it. Which lends to the news report that it was just completely random. Like, they're not doing what Lauren Smith-Fields, you know, like, you're dealing with a girl. Think about this. You're dating a chick. And you get over there, the door's kicked off the hinges, and she's stabbed to death. Probably call the police, then you call her son, and you tell him. And he doesn't come over there immediately and start grilling you. The guy she was dealing with, they must have felt like he wasn't capable of this. And of course, they caught the guy who did do it. And the guy who did do it is not saying, Man, the guy, her boyfriend put me up to this. So it's just interesting that she was dealing with a guy who, you know, she seemed like she was dealing with a good guy. So I believe what he said when she says that his mom had gotten her life together. I'm sure she was on drugs or something like that, or, you know, just living a rough life, you know. But they still turned out good. But the way he's talking about her, it sounds like she was battling addiction and battling, you know, antisocial behaviors. But she was dealing with a good guy. That's my takeaway from this.
And is the biggest question right now, why?
Absolutely. Why? We don't know why. Just completely random, you know. And she was just like, I'm so proud of her because she was really making a transition in her life. I've seen her overcome so many life obstacles, and she was in a very peaceful place.
So in her honor, even with the pain still fresh, Louis and his siblings are setting out to transform their trauma into a helpful force in the community. They're working to establish Tina's healing home, resources especially geared toward uplifting Black women.
$300. $300. And this has been up for a while. This happened on the 8th. $300. Goals $110,274. I guess they went and did the math on what it would take to start a center like this, start a home like this, a healing home. For them to have $110,000, $110,274. So yeah. So I guess that wokey woke stuff is over up there in Minnesota. Or was it that she wasn't killed by a cop? You tell me, which one is it? Are they done with the woke stuff, or is it that she wasn't killed by a cop or a glider? Old Mo. Mo wasn't a glider. All right, so we know that son woman femicide has been a big deal the last 2 years since the summer of Floyd. And this woman is trying to have a march in D.C. to bring attention. Because if you want to bring attention to your cause, you go have a march in D.C. like they did in the summer of Floyd. Like they do, like everybody does. If you live in D.C. and you know what I'm saying, you hang out downtown, you know they have something going on. Some group is down there all the time. And they want to have a march in D.C. And this woman has asked for $50,000. That's all. And what has she gotten? $27,981. And I looked at this the other day, like maybe like a week ago. It was on 27,000. I can't remember, but it was 27. I was like, wow. Like, and this has been up since November. She says, "Hey everyone, my name is Rosa, and I'm raising money for the Son Femicides March in D.C. Tentatively scheduled for September of 2022. The money will go towards travel expenses, scouting locations, security detail, permits and fees associated with the march, as well as payment to my staff. I am also requesting this money for a new computer, webcam, and other technological equipment associated with live streams I do on a weekly basis, as well as collection and data storage of the victims across the country. I started this project as a labor of love, and it's turned into something much bigger than I foresaw. Since starting this endeavor, I have never asked for donations nor received any funding, but as the momentum has grown, my pride is taking a backseat. So I'm asking those who believe in me and the mission to assist me financially so that the work can continue and eventually lead to legislative changes that will protect black women and girls in America. With your help, I know that will change. With your help, I know that change will come. Because as I found out, there are many who are just as passionate as I am for working towards a better future for son, women, and girls. Remember that every donation helps. Thank you. She can't even get $50,000 for a march. All these sisters out here. All these sisters with all these YouTube channels, man. And Instagram pages and TikTok channels and Facebook pages, groups and all that stuff. This woman, I think this is the woman that tracks all the, she tracks them. Each time a sister gets murked, she tracks it on her Twitter page, and she counts them up. And I think it was 1,400 last year. And this year so far, I gotta look and see how many there were this year so far.
Why? We don't know why. Just completely random, you know. And she was just like, I'm so proud of her because she was really making a transition in her life. I've seen her overcome so many life obstacles, and she was in a very peaceful place.
So in her honor, even with the pain still fresh, Louis and his siblings are setting out to transform their trauma into a helpful force in the community. They're working to establish Tina's Healing Home, resources especially geared toward uplifting black women.
To really honor our mother and to help provide a community of resources that can support black women who are walking some of the same shoes that our mother worked with, survivors of domestic assault or struggling with mental health or substance abuse or even stability in their housing. We really want to open up the Tina's Healing Home to provide that space and cultivate the opportunity to honor her name and make her proud. And really, at the root of a lot of these issues is the reality that we haven't been able to heal from our trauma. So it would be an extreme focus in our space to make sure that we provide that healing and transformation, because trauma that is not transformed is transferred.
Louis' family is currently fundraising not just for Tina's Healing Home, but also for the support of his family. Tina Marie leaves behind 6 children and 3 grandchildren.